Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farms. So today it is like ridiculously hot out and it's so humid. It's awful. It's only like 10 o'clock right now. I just got done baking all of the bread for the farmer's market that we have this evening. That is at the Springfield Township Farmer's Market on the lake. So that is up in Akron. So that's going on from 2 to 9 today. It's the grand opening, so it's a big to do. So I baked a massive amount of bread and pizza crust because that's something that I ventured into. And Tracy, obviously made dog treats because that's her thing. But so I thought I would give you guys a little bit of a tour of what we have to do for the animals when it is ridiculously hot, like today. It's also really muggy. Like it's awful. We're pretty much gonna cook to death at the market today. I do not do well when it's really hot out. Neither does Tracy. So this will be interesting for us. So first off, I want to talk about rabbits. So rabbits are our most intolerant of heat animals that we have. If you haven't guessed it, it's because they have a massive amount of fur. They do fantastic whenever it's really cold out. They do the best when it's cold out, actually. But when it's really hot out, they struggle really badly. So what we have done to make it so that way we potentially will not have dead rabbits when we come home, rabbits can also, if they get scared really bad, they can have heart attacks and die. So the heat can also cause that to happen as well. So it's kind of a big deal to leave rabbits whenever it's really hot out, but we have to work. So what we do is we have an old canopy. This was our canopy that we used at the farmer's market last year. It actually broke. We went to set up this year for the first one in Canton and realized that all four of the legs were messed up. So we actually have to have nails sticking in to the legs because the little pin things that you push in, the little push button tab things, yeah, they all broke. So that was a fun development. But so we set up the canopy. It is a like UPF or SPF. I don't remember which it's called for clothing. But anyways, it's like for 50. So it'll make it so that way that it'll block a lot of the sun out, make it cooler for the rabbits. The other thing that we do is we will end up having frozen water bottles that this afternoon we will have Willie bring them out and give them to each of the rabbits. So that way they have something cold that they can lay up against when, it's super duper ridiculously hot out. That helped us a lot last year whenever it was really super duper hot and stuff. We had, it was almost like a 2-week time period actually where it was like in the 90s and we were living in a camper then that was in full sun. It was ridiculous. But so I don't know if you'll be able to tell it on camera or not. That's Tink, that's the mama. She is actively panting already because she's hot. So they will pant like dogs and stuff. It'd probably be easiest to see Buster panting away. But anyways, so that's what they do to try to keep themselves cool. We do have it so there is shade and Buster's area is open in the back so that way when the wind does blow it'll come through and help cool him off. The chickens are pretty good whenever it comes to heat. We have in the past had one chicken in particular, we named her Pipsma. She was really not tolerant of the heat, but that was one of the first ones that the raccoon got. So she doesn't have to worry about the heat because she's in chicken heaven. So the rest of them do pretty well. It looks really super redneck what we've done, but we had this old pool cover that Tracy's mom had given us to see if we had any use for it. So we used it to create a shady area for the ducks and the geese to go into. They do fairly well when it's hot out. Because they like to be in the water and do different things, so they are always taking baths and stuff in their water dish. My God, I hope this isn't the theme of the day that I'm just going to struggle through my words because that's going to be really awkward at the market. And then the other thing that we did for Wilbur and Ferdinand is we have found this metal roofing here, so we set that up. Right now it doesn't create very much shade, but it does create a wee bit of shade there that they can go under. Otherwise, they just sort of hang out. They're hard to see because they're dark. They hang out in their little bit of shadiness of the shelter. Once it's about 2 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m., somewhere in there, their whole area becomes fully shaded because of all the woods right there. But until that time period, like, we've come out and found them chasing the shade of their shelter, because, like, as you can see, there's some shade right back there and stuff. So they'll sort of dance around to get to the shade more. The goats will actually just walk around to the back of the pasture. That'll be easier than trying to walk through while filming. The goats, with where we have them now in this setup, when we lived at Tracy's parents' house, there was like no shade trees. There was no shade there pretty much at all. There's basically a big section of yard area that has no trees at all, and then the rest of it's woods. So it was like either you're in full shade or you're in full sun. There's not really much in between. But so the goats area here, as you can see, it is very much shady woods and stuff. The sun is blinding me, so I can't look at the camera. But then the chicken area over in there is also, you know, covered in shade in the woods and stuff. Lucky really likes it back here. He's got lots of shade, lots of chickens to hang out with. He's pretty much best buds with chickens and humans. Not too bad. So he's been doing well with being back here. No behavioral issues really to speak of, which is good. He was kind of a jerk face to the other goats. He was pushing all the babies out of the food and everybody else out and beating everybody up to steal their food because he's a jerk like that. But since he went on his epic adventure and come back, he has not had any issues like that. But Daisy's right over there. I have no idea if the camera's picking her up or not because I can't look at it because I'm like blinded every time I try. And then Rosie's right over there. So the little girls are doing really, really well. Bonita is over there. She is a month older than them. I'm going to get out of the sun so that way I'm not getting sunburnt. I got burnt really bad the other day. I weeded the entire garden and it was just, did not realize that I was as burnt as I was, and then I spent even more time outside, so it was just burn on top of burn. Not good. But anyway, so Bonita is a month older than the other girls, and she's like the same height as them. If anything, the other two are actually taller. Here's a little bit of a shady spot. If anything, the other two are actually taller than Bonita is, but Bonita is like way stockier. So I'm not really sure why. Wilbur is Bonita's dad. Wilbur's twin brother is the other girls' dad. So they essentially come from the same genetics. They do have different mothers, obviously. So that, obviously, it must be something from the mom. But yeah, the other two girls, Daisy and Rosie, they definitely are going to be like taller and skinnier than Bonita is. Bonita's like short and stocky and built for strength, and the other two are built for speed, I suppose. But yeah, so that's some of what we're doing to make it so that way, there's the nice shady area. That's some of what we're doing to make it so that way all of the animals are tolerating the heat. And then the rabbits that we have in tractors, we actually moved them to being underneath the pine trees, so that way they're in the shade. And our honeybees, they're perfectly fine. They're just buzzing around like crazy. But yeah, so that's what we've done to make it so that way everybody is as best equipped for the hot weather as possible. A couple weeks ago when we had really hot degree days, I think it got up into the 90s. That's everybody sailed right through with doing the same thing with having the canopy and then doing the frozen water bottles. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be good for us to go and we won't come home to anybody struggling or having any major issues. The biggest concern that we always have when it's really hot is the rabbits, just because they got so much fur. They kind of get a thicker coat whenever it's wintertime, but it's not like noticeably thicker. They're pretty much just built for snow all the time. So it definitely is a bit of a concern to leave them when it's hot. But like I said, Willie's supposed to be home most of the day today, so he can come out and check on them and make sure that, you know, nobody's like super struggling, because if they are, well, we'll just have to bring them in the house or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so that's it for right now. I gotta go in, see if my bread's cool enough that I can get it bagged up. So then I can get it bagged, labeled, and ready to go for market. And that way I can get myself ready to go, because we gotta leave in like an hour or so. But yeah. Oh, and the turkeys, they're in full shade all the time. They are, I'll show you guys, they're just in the edge of the woods. So they really don't have any sort of issues. They're up here, and as you can see, there's multiple trees around the area, and so they're just super loving it back here. We will, once the berry picking season is over, we're going to expand their area, but the biggest honey hole for berries is actually right here, right in front of their area. So I am not giving them that until I get the rest of the berries. But then their pasture area will end up extending out into this area here, so then they can get more grass. But yeah, so I'm gonna cut this short so that way I can get ready for the market, and I'm also already kind of hot and sticky and sweaty and gross, so definitely need to change my clothes. Plus, this is not my market shirt. This is my I'm at home, I can get dirty shirt. But anyways, if you're enjoying our content, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it to your social media, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel to help us grow. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.